Nailed it. Did I nail it? I think I nailed it.
I'm going to go ahead and say I nailed it.
Testing 1 2, testing 1 2. Need my radio voice. Yeah. Do, re, mi.
Oh, God. Hello, and welcome to Word Up Podcast. I'm Evie.
And I'm Webster.
Today we are here with Merida. Hey, nice to be here. How are you today?
Yeah, really good. Chilly, but good.
Yeah.
Excited to be here.
And you're here with also your project, Project Fearless?
Yep. Which is after-school programs for girls based in Amsterdam. And really excited to chat about it.
Yeah.
I like that you're rocking the Project Fearless shirt.
Always on brand.
Yep.
You never know who's
brand.
watching.
I like it.
Can you tell us a little bit how it all started for you?
Sure. Well, it started in a whirlwind of despair, to be honest. I spent 7.5 years as a corporate designer, which was amazing and had a really cool, sexy title. But I realized eventually that wasn't my end goal. So after a year of just, to be honest, like despair and panic of what do I do with my life? How do I help people? How do I make me come out and give the world what I'm best at? I realized 3 things were really important. And that was, 1, I loved creating communities where I could empower and cheer people on. I was never MVP on a team, but I was always the coach's award for being the biggest cheerleader. And I have to be in a place where I'm physically active, making things, doing with my hands, and then also creating an impact. And so I thought about what was missing and what I was really lucky to have as a young girl growing up, and I wanted to bring that to future generations.
Cool. Sounds very exciting. And how did you start? What was your process? Like, when you realized those 3 things, like how
when
did
it finally
you...
had this like brain explosion. I feverishly went home and I just started researching. So my background with design was human-centric design. So I was huge into research gathering, collecting, building binders of why people do things or how they do things. So I started researching all those who had inspired me or who were doing something that I think is really amazing, whether that was a restaurant that by day was a child's cafe and at night was like a happening sushi club, or like this program in the States called, I believe it's Girls on the Run, which gets girls anywhere from the ages of, I think, like 5 to 14 running their first 5K with mentors and stuff. So pulling all of this research together and thinking, like, hey, what do I love about them? And then what would I do? Like, what would be my spin on it? And going in those themes that I talked about, the empowering and working. And so that became sort of my market research. And there I went into consumer research because that was also part of my background of, is this something that people actually want? You know, listening to parents, looking at what's currently offered in the Netherlands, and in the States, to be honest, because I'm from the States, but I was here now and I knew there's a lot of empowering programs in the States, but not doing what I had wanted to do, would pull all these pieces together. And from there, I started writing a business plan, which is super boring. And looking at black and white letters on a screen was just killing my designer soul. But it was fine. I knew it had to be done, and it was a great brain dump. And it also helped me write my story too, because at that point, I'd also quit my corporate job. And so people are like, "What are you doing?" And by having a business plan, I could actually start formulating that 90-second pitch. And then I hired a brand strategist and a brand team out of London, which was amazing. And they were 2 women who just got my mission and what Project Fearless was and were able to take my semi-articulate self and, and make it to something that was, just blew my mind. And then I did a accelerated program at the Impact Hub, which is actually where I met Webster. We were buddies on the first day. I may have overwhelmed him with my enthusiasm.
Not at all. I'm still alive, so.
Okay, great.
Live to tell the tale.
And that was great because that gave me homework, it gave me guide rails. I had my North Star, but As you know, when you first start any sort of startup, you kind of like, oh, I need to do this and I could do that. And then what if I had, but giving guardrails to kind of help you shoot towards that North Star without getting too lost amongst the galaxy, if you will, really helped.
Yeah.
June 13th, we launched our website. There was a pitch at the Impact Hub, and it's been a rocket ship ever since.
Wow.
Yeah.
So but it's still only been
Yeah.
half a year, not even.
Not even, right? So, so I quit my corporate job in December, and then all of that, the business plan and everything until June 13th, website launched. A week later, we were lucky enough to have our first sponsor reach out to us. I put a call to action for teammates, for women to join this mission. August 9th, we opened registrations for our program. So it's crazy to think about this. September 9th, we started our first started our first pilots, and now we're 8.5 weeks in and wrapping those pilots up, and it's just been an incredible journey, and the feedback from the girls and the parents is just more than I would have expected or even put like a goal or a tagline on, because it's amazing.
Nice.
I want to know what it's been like throughout this process since starting the program. What are the conversations you're having with the parents and the girls?
So it's funny. The parents is more like, "What are you doing? What'd you talk about?" Or like, "How are you doing this?" And it's a little bit of magic behind the scenes, right? We even had a parent who said, "I don't know what you do or how you do it, but it's working." And we were like, "All right, that sounds great. We'll keep going." So the conversation, it's definitely more with the girls. And we talk about, in all of our courses. So on Mondays, we've had skateboarding. On Tuesdays, we've had Mind and Movement Lab. And on Fridays is community service and leadership. And throughout all our programs, no matter what the physical part of that, whether it's skateboarding or boxing or creating a prototype, we're also talking about leadership and impact and how everybody has a voice. You don't have to be the super extrovert that's standing on a soapbox or leading a march to create an impact. You can use your passion to create a change every single day of your life. It's a lot of pressure, but you could if you wanted to. And then also just discussing about, what do you feel is leadership, and what do you feel is a good teammate, and how do you define success? We're coming into an age where parents, with the best intentions, are saying you can do anything, you can become whoever you want, and it's true, right? But that's also a lot of pressure put on one person, and it also, what you want may not necessarily be a neuroscience engineer who's going into space, and that's great as long as you're happy doing what you want to do. There's nothing better in the world that you can give.
Wonderful.
Yeah. And I'm wondering, what is it that you would like to know now, that when you started and that you know now?
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a really good one. I think it's something that I've been trying to keep as my motto throughout this entire year, has been trust the process. So I really try to keep believing that. That's a really good question. I think there's nothing that's been so surprising that we've had to do a complete 360. There's definitely been some pivots, some bobs, and some weaves. But what's amazing is that our team of coaches, of volunteers behind the scenes are incredible women, and we take the feedback from the literally instant. So, we see a class, something goes a little bit wrong or something goes a little bit right. We can take that and directly put it back into next week's class. Or I can say, for instance, on week 3, no matter the course, all of the girls are completely different. So I was able to go on skateboarding. We were like, whoa, what just happened? These girls are crazy compared to where they were week 1. But what was great is that I could go to the Mind and Movement Lab, because we have different coaches for each course, and say, by the way, don't be surprised if the girls are, completely different. They're more confident. They're used to each other now. They're used to us. They're pushing their boundaries. They're getting excited. They're, just feeling out who they are now. So it's really great. So there's really nothing that it's like, oh man, I wish I knew that when we started. But it's more of, if I could continue this whole every week is a learning process, and to take it as that, as opposed to, a failure or a big hiccup.
Right.
Yeah.
Must be really wonderful seeing the girls grow in that way,
I think it's something that we just never expected, right? Like our goal is impact, of course. Like our goal is emotional and behavioral change that happens over these 6 or 8 weeks. And we knew that the girls are smart, but we didn't know how quickly and adaptable they were, right? So like I said, from week 1 to week 3, they're completely different, but also from week to week and depending on what we talk about. So I can tell you a really interesting thing that happened in the skateboarding class on week 2. All of a sudden we noticed that the girls were quite competitive against each other. They were jumping in front of each other to get more of the coach's attention, or they're going up saying like, "Oh, you didn't learn that yet?" And it was really weird because like the week before, I guess the week before everybody still knew, but I hadn't seen that in our mind and movement lab. But our mind and movement lab, we talked about teamwork and leadership and supporting each other the very first day, whereas that was kind of something we were going to talk about in skateboarding a little bit later in the course. And the coaches and I were like, okay, well, we need to nip this in the bud. So the next week, prior to getting onto our skateboards, we spent a whole hour discussing what does it mean to be a leader? What does it mean to be a teammate? And what do you need, when you're feeling insecure, what would really help you? And literally instantly, they were able to put that into practice with skateboarding. And instead of, oh, you haven't gotten that trick, it was like, hey, let me help you. This is how you stand, blah, 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 high five, screaming like the girls were taking it, sort of like a jab in the face of like literally just screaming like, support, support, support. And I was like, okay, we get it.
Relax.
You're smart. Smarter than us. You're cheeky. Hilarious. And, our mind and movement lab was 6 weeks because this was a pilot. So we did one that was 6, one that was 8, one that was 9, just to see what the best option was. 8 weeks / indefinitely has been the feedback from parents,
That's great.
which is great. But we needed to, make a stop. So, but the mind and movement lab was the shortest one. And on the very last day, we started and finished every single class of those 6 weeks with a circle of like check-in, where you are, a body scan. At the end of every day, we got in a circle and we said maybe something we were proud of, something we wanted to give a compliment to somebody else in the team, or something that we're grateful for. And on the very last day, this girl who was, I think she was 10, she was Dutch, because our classes are taught in both English and Dutch. And we have an even split of Dutch native speakers and Dutch English, and English speakers. And this girl raised her hand and she said, "Can I go first?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course." And she said, "I'm really thankful that I was able to join here, because here I can be myself, whereas at school I'm too embarrassed to be. And it's really nice to be myself." And all the coaches, I just looked at each other and like the biggest goosebumps. And because if we could have created one goal for all of Project Fearless, like that was it. That was the one thing we wanted. And then that, she was so brave that she said it out loud, that other girls felt that they could also say it out loud. So, we think like, wow, that was in just 6 weeks. 1 day a week for 6 weeks. Can you imagine what could happen if she comes back next year and we keep doing this over and over again, what the impact could be and who could she really become?
And is that your plan, to go on and take over the world?
That's the plan. As daunting as it may seem. So that's the plan. So right now we're wrapping up the pilots. We are taking feedback and impact measurements from the parents, from the girls, discussing with the coaches and our team to see, okay, who do we have going forward? The relaunch, the official relaunch Here to Stay will be in February. Our goal for the end of next year is to have, 2020 is a big year, is we want to have our permanent space to call our own clubhouse, which would be amazing. And then we want to be able to offer courses 5 days a week in various, programs. But we always will offer a program. We have 3 themes of which our programs align with. The maker space, so that could be woodworking, it could be bike engineering, STEM, art and science blends, the community service and leadership, and then the mind and movement lab. So the courses will always follow within one of those 3 themes. And we may have multiple mind and movement labs going in 1 week. We haven't figured it out yet.
That's super exciting.
Yeah, that's a word for it.
It's amazing that you're doing all these sort of practical sort of workshops that girls and I guess some boys wouldn't get access to in school. What do you think is stopping young girls from, let's say, doing woodworking or, you know, skateboarding and stuff like that? Like, what are the, I guess, social pressures against them?
I think it's a little bit of, I definitely think, of course, there's like the stereotypes, right? But I think a lot of it's just access. You know, we had some girls who joined our skateboarding program who knew how to skateboard, and purely their reason for joining was like, I just wanted to skate with more girls. And they were so thankful. We did the same recap of like, what are you thankful for? I'm thankful to know more girls who skate. The woodworking, I do think schools are offering that. When I was speaking to some teachers ahead of time, you know, they said what's interesting is, especially in the maker spaces, that the girls love the maker space. But what ends up happening is, especially if you have boys who outnumber girls in the classroom, the boys end up taking over and the girls kind of fade to the back. So we wanted to create a space where everybody's voice was heard, everybody's way of tackling a problem was supported. But I don't think it's, you know, I luckily think we are moving away from like, oh, that's just for boys or, oh, that's just for girls. But I think it's just access. And I think it's also creating a safe space where you can come in your comfort zone and then expand outside your comfort zone.
Makes sense. I wish I could, I wish I had stuff like that when I was growing up, actually. Because for me, it was kind of, you know, being like a boy, I was like, right, you're going to do sports. You're going to do hockey, you're going to do rugby, football. And my sisters would get to do like dancing and like theater and stuff, which I got to in my later life. But I always wished as a young kid that I could try all those things, because I think kids are curious.
100%.
You know, I think a lot of the things that they see and they learn is because they look around and they're like, oh, well, there's no other boys or no other girls doing that. So I probably don't want to do that because I don't want to be an outcast.
I don't want to be an outcast, or who do I approach, or where will that lead me to? You know, because it's, you know, for instance, we want to do a bike mechanic course, like a bike engineering mechanic course. And I've been like canvassing the city for bike mechanics who are women. And it's not because we're anti-men or we don't think men have a voice. It's more of the fact that like part of our program is the see her, be her. So yeah, we could have a course taught by a guy, but at the end of the day, we really want to show girls that there's jobs for her. And it's such a simple connection, but it's really important. But also back to your point about the idea of like just having options to try things without the pressure of being the best. So one of our girls in the Mind and Movement Lab, her thing that she was thankful for was that she got to try all this stuff without feeling the pressure of having to be perfect or the best. Because a lot of stuff, you know, whether it's team sports, which offer so many great learning skills. I'm a huge supporter of team sports. I think it's really important. But at the end of the day, sometimes you just want to like dance goofy and not have anybody to tell you that your toes need to be turned out that way, or you're not skinny enough to be on stage. Yeah. Right. So it's just giving them a place where like you can be yourself and you can be your best, your worst, or just your medium self. And we will support every moment of that.
Yeah. It's like people who want to sing and are scared to be alone on the stage. That's the choir option.
We'll do it together.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, and you know, the Mind and Movement Lab, we only used a mirror one day. The rest was kind of just, it doesn't matter, you know, unless if we saw somebody who was about to like injure themselves, we would of course like make a little tweak, but it wasn't a like, ooh, you have to box with this sort of ferocity, or you have to have your hips in this exact position. It was just feeling what it feels like, and also just getting stoked for moving your body, because that's such a powerful feeling.
And they're so young also. Like, this is like, it's not the time to be, they need to play and they need to be
absolutely
kids.
Right, exactly. Absolutely. And you know, I've heard from 3 different girls across the courses that they've dropped out of dance or gymnastics or something because it gave them anxiety attacks. These girls are under the ages of 14, right?
That's crazy.
And it's like, man, I mean, I understand the importance of sport. I understand the importance of competition, but if it's driving you to that point, what's the point? There's no point. Like, this shouldn't be where you're going. So it just gives them a break.
All right, but this is how our society, unfortunately, is wired.
Oh, I have parents asking me if there's homework. Yeah, and it's like,
that's amazing.
No, the homework is to just be excited for next week. that's the homework, or like sometimes we give them little challenges of like, all right, so we learned about how to create an impact. Next week we want to hear, how you made an impact. And sometimes it's celebrating things of like, this girl said, well, I saw a guy was having trouble throwing a piece of paper away. So I helped him throw that away. And I was like, yeah, high fives, woo, 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 and like, because that's great. And, and she was thinking about us, and that's all we asked for.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Were there any things that you as a child really wanted to do that you didn't get to do?
No.
That's great.
I know. I know. And I feel really like guilty even saying that. I think that was one of the reasons why I started Project Fearless, was because I realized how lucky I was as a child that my parents really supported. If I was into monster trucks, we went to, we like explored that option, and it wasn't because we had all the money in the world. It was just because my parents didn't really see a gender, stereotype, and they really wanted me to push my boundaries and fall and get back up. And I tried some stuff and I realized, yeah, that's not for me, like dance. I can dance on my own, but for some reason when I'm with a team in a group that we're also doing the same thing, I get real distracted what everybody else is doing. And then, so it doesn't work for me. But no, I was really lucky in that sense. And I was also really lucky that at a time in my life when stuff was really hard at school, I had, whether it was parents or adults or a mentor, I don't really remember who was the exact person who said this, was like, just be yourself. It may suck. People are still going to be mean and it's still going to be hard, but just be yourself. And I promise you at the end of this, whenever this curve will be, you're going to be so happy that you stuck to that. I'm very happy. It sucked and it was hard, but I'm very happy that happened. And so I think I'm very lucky that I was given kind of those pushes, the pushes of, you have no boundaries. You can try these things. You don't have to do it because you have to be the best, and just be yourself. So.
And that brings us to what I'm really curious about.
Oh my gosh. Dun.
Yeah, because everything before this is totally irrelevant.
That's fluff. So if you want to if you skip ahead until now,
so we can totally skip it.
Great.
No, like as far as I understand, I mean, this Project Fearless is taking 110% of your time.
Yep.
But what's your private life? What's your what is Merida behind behind the curtain of Project Fearless?
A cat mom. Recently engaged. See? Yeah.
Fabulous cat,
yeah,
by the way.
An incredible cat. I'm just recently engaged to an incredibly supportive partner, Elliot. Thank you so much for sticking with me through the downs and the ups and the, oh my God, I can't do this. But I people ask me how I started Project Fearless, and I say selfishly, right? Like when I go back to the three things, which is the empowering people, the physically active, and making an impact, like those are the three things that make me the happiest and the best me. And so when I'm doing those, I know I feel really confident, like who I am. So I do a lot of those behind the scenes as well. I sew a lot, I bake a lot. I have my little like custom baking side gig. I try to stay as active as possible. And yeah, just trying to manage the balance. The balance is hard. And some days it's easier than others, but some days you go to bed at 10 o'clock after not like literally saying 2 words to your partner after getting home at 9:30. And, but at the end of the day, the weekends, I'm really trying to tune off and get back to whether it's sewing quilts or baking cakes or.
Right. Like doing something with your hands.
Doing something with my hands. That's super important to me. But yeah, Project Fearless is really a super reflection of me. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing.
I think it's wonderful.
But yeah, it really is a reflection of me. So my behind the scenes really aren't that behind the scenes. Yeah, if I could add more courses to Project Fearless and teach them all myself, we'd have a costuming course, we'd have a horror makeup course, a sewing course, and a baking course. TBD on those. But yeah,
I would sign up for that.
Yeah,
Can I come?
Cupcakes.
Heroes Cupcakes. I mean, every week I've been baking muffins for all the girls. They've been extremely spoiled. And I was just talking to one of the girls in the other course, and I was like, I really want to do a baking course. And she's like, oh, I would do a baking course. Great, we're doing it. But yeah, behind the scenes, it's very similar. Just a little bit I guess when I'm not having makeup on, my eyes are a lot more sunken in. But other than that, it's pretty exposed.
And what's your advice for people who are still searching for the balance that you mentioned? Like what's the tip or few maybe?
Yeah. That's the hardest one because I'm still finding it. Right. And some days, like I said, some days it feels a lot easier than others. And, I've been saying this a lot, but it's just trust the process, and trust your intuition. Like if you don't have to say yes to everything. And I know like a lot of entrepreneurs, when you go to those like networking events and stuff like that, they're like, I just started saying no for the first time. And I really I'm starting to understand that because especially as you're first starting out, you almost want to take every single opportunity that's thrown at you or given to you because, oh my gosh, thank you so much. But at the end of the day, it's also okay to say no. And if you believe in what you're doing is worthy enough and you've set your North Star, you'll get there no matter how many things you say yes to or no matter how many things you say no to.
Yeah.
Again, way easier said than done. I have to write an email tonight, actually, that I'm not stoked about to say like, thank you, but no. But I know it's really important for me. And it's because family at that point, that date comes first.
Of course.
Yeah.
I know the feeling.
Yeah, exactly. Like everybody, it's such it's this weird guilt feeling, right? Like it's your intuition saying like, you really need the rest. You've set this date as family time. It's supposed to be family time. It's really important to you. But you also have this guilt of like, well, are they going to think that you're not a good entrepreneur? Are they going to think you're not hungry enough for this? Are they going to think, and maybe it's a story I'm telling myself, but it's also that story that entrepreneurs have always told of like, well, I get up at 4 a.m. and I go to the gym, I check emails, and then I go to the office, run 5 board meetings, blah, 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 come home around 7, kiss the kids, good night, say hi to my wife, then go back to work until 2 a.m. and sleep for 2 hours. And it's like, shit.
It's like the mom from The Incredibles.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's I won't make it if that's the case.
But. Yeah, but on the other hand, like how many no's do you think those people say too? You know, like how many?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And
when you think about Anna Wintour, for example, or like women who are like so fierce.
Yeah.
And I'm sure she's like serial knower.
Oh yeah, I think so. I think that's kind of her vibe. That's her brand. Is like no. Mine's a no thanks, but yeah, it's definitely a hard thing. But just trust your intuition and the process, and tell your story. I think that's the other thing.
And I think it's very important because I think we are so stressed to just like lose opportunity just in case it comes and you're not at home and it's knocking and nobody's opening the door and it's like like Dutch postal service, nobody leaves a message.
The worst. Oh my gosh, we could have a whole podcast on that alone.
Wait, what's this? I've never heard this.
Have you ever had a package delivered or attempted delivered to your house?
Yeah.
And it's okay?
I've never had a dud, as in I've never had something not delivered to my house.
What?
Oh, wow.
I don't order stuff that much then.
What? Do you have like a concierge at your apartment?
Oh yeah, Jeeves receives all my packages.
Because I've considered it.
Butler.
Yeah, seriously.
I guess I don't order stuff that much. Maybe I've been lucky.
Oh, wow.
But tell me more.
It's notoriously the worst. Like notoriously that you just won't get stuff and they're like, yeah, we left a note. It's like, no, you didn't.
Or like they leave it like at someone you don't know, like 5 houses down on the street.
Yeah, I've had that. My landlord's had that where her stuff just goes to someone else's house and then she gets a random guy or knocking on the door like,
well, at least they deliver it.
Yeah.
I've had people who are just like, okay, well, it's here. It's like, yeah, well, I never got a note to say that it was there. Or, I've had so many issues.
I know.
Wow.
This is like therapy for
Yeah, seriously. We could have an entire podcast.
Vent.
I forget where we were. The opportunity thing. Yeah, totally. And I don't know. I don't know if that's a harder thing for women too, with the whole scarcity at the top situation of like breaking the glass ceiling and having to push forward always and pretend or prove that you have this beautiful work-life balance, that you can be all the things, and at the end of the day that's not possible. And it's okay, which is even harder to accept.
Amen.
I know the feeling. As like being a freelancer, I think when you start out, one of the things that you do is just say yes to absolutely any project, anytime, anyone.
I'll sell my soul. Yes.
Yeah, 100%.
Yes. And
Awareness, great, love it.
And then as you grow and you start to see the value that you provide, you can start to kind of suss out like which opportunities or which clients or whatever are worth spending your time with. And I think it's like that with, entrepreneurship or anything that, requires your personal time. And then you get to a point where you can be like, okay, right, this is what I believe in. Like you said, this is my North Star.
Yeah.
If anything deviates from that, train of thought, then it's probably not going to be good for me and I have to respectfully decline.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I don't think it ever gets easier though.
No, probably not.
I think you get more maybe concrete about saying it, but I don't think it will ever get easier.
I hope so. I hope it will get easier.
No, you get better. It doesn't get easier.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. Again, you get better. It doesn't get easier. Right, good. Exactly.
Then I throw out these no's. What are you excited about for the future?
This is super dorky, but we just got t-shirts in, and we had an event last week, and some of the t-shirts sold to like strangers. So yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, so really excited to see like a Project Fearless t-shirt like in the wilderness, and they're gonna be photobombed like they won't believe. But yeah, so we'll be selling those, which will be really cool because I can't wait to like pepper the world with them. But I don't know. I'm excited to see the girls again. We have 100% retention rate on our courses right now.
That's amazing.
Which is amazing. What would be even more amazing is if all of those girls came back to another Project Fearless course in the future. So if they started in skateboarding, then next year they come in Mind and Move the Lab. But also I'm excited for to see those girls, because after 8 weeks, like you know their ins and outs, like their personality types, when something that they've done is like way beyond their comfort zone and they just did that. So I'm excited to see that growth. And then of course, excited to welcome new girls. And what will also be really cool is to see girls who have gone through our programs partnered with new girls, and see that dynamic as well. I think that's going to be really special. We already have some Project Fearless like best friends that have formed because of our classes, which is hilarious and equally sometimes unmanageable in the course.
Like you too.
Yeah, exactly. But great at the same time, right? And that's so cool to see that happen. And that was one of our big goals too, is that the idea that, if we have 12 girls in a room or a course, that these girls in other circumstances wouldn't be able to meet each other. They're coming from different schools, from different backgrounds, from different parts of the city, from different languages. And so it's really cool to see this new interaction build. Nice. So I can't wait to see how that develops in the future.
And I'm going to be taking a selfie with the t-shirt.
Yeah, exactly. My friend just sent me one with her aunt wearing one and like with like at brunch somewhere. And I was like, that's amazing. Like, I cannot wait to start seeing them in the future. It'll be great. Yeah. So the word is spreading.
Yeah. And if you could have one positive word to say to the girls who haven't heard about Project Fearless yet, or who haven't been able to do the things that they want to do, what would that be?
Ooh. I think it would just be, you got this. Like,
that's not one word.
Sorry. Does it have to be
exactly one word?
Exactly one word.
Evie's kidding.
Then I got
a few words.
You got it. You got this. Yeah. So I think it would just be, you got this. And again, you don't have to be the best. You don't have to be the worst. You don't have to even like do it completely. Like,
you just have to be.
You just have to be. Yeah, exactly.
Cool. I'm so excited for you and
Thank you.
For me too.
Yeah, exactly. If anybody didn't know, Evie's on our team.
Yes.
Yeah, we're excited for the future, and the team is, shout out to the team, because I've never experienced so much support and love and like trust these women with my child basically, and know that they got it. And the coolest thing about the team is whenever we're at an event or something like that, like I've overheard like coaches talking about Project Fearless as if it's theirs, right? Like as if they own the whole thing. And that is the coolest thing that could possibly happen, because how proud and empowered they are to own what they offer at Project Fearless. And it's magical.
It's amazing.
So really thankful to all the women who've come to us and all the supporters all over the world who have reached out, and high fives. And
well, thank you very much for being with us.
yeah, thanks for having me.
So for our audience listening, where can they find information about Project Fearless?
Yes. So our website, good shout, is www.projectfearless.org. Of course, you can follow on our social channels as well. So we're on Instagram and Facebook, Twitter, which if you wanted to follow us, that'd be great because I think we have like 2 followers. Our Instagram is if you just search Project Fearless, or it's technically like at project.fearless. Social handles are always hard to like nab the right ones, but yeah, we'd love to hear from you. You can sign up for our newsletter. You can follow us along, give us high fives in the street, get a sticker, whatever you want.
Brilliant. And for our audience listening at home, you know where to find us at www.worduppodcast.com, where you'll find past episodes and information about our special guests. Thank you very much, and see you next time.
Doei!
Bye-bye.
Clap, 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 golf clap, golf clap. Are we allowed to clap?
Right? We need like just added it in. I thought it was appropriate.
Just by the way.
I don't know if it was like one high five.
Yeah. It was just little baby claps.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, you know. I gotta edit this. All right, let me do my bit.
He will edit it, and he never does.